Hey everyone, Michael Falk with Kinetic Sports Medicine Performance. Today I want to talk about physical activity guidelines. So this is something that the government started putting out through the National Institute of Health several years ago, and we're now on our second edition of these guidelines. And why I think it's so important is that many of the people that we see in our office are actually not meeting these guidelines. And there's a variety of health conditions that you're more at risk of if you are not meeting these guidelines, and one of them is there is some evidence around increase in chronic pain and pain conditions. And I think a lot of it is just that people are unaware of what these guidelines are and why they're important. So as a good starting spot for any person, whether it's a younger adult, older adult, or even really a youth adolescent person, it is a good idea to try to meet these guidelines. And so the basic principle is that you want to get between 150 and 300 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic exercise every week, or you want to try to get about 175 to 250 minutes of vigorous physical activity every week. And in addition to that, you also want to strength train or do muscular strength training in a gym at least 2 days a week. What we see a lot is that people fall in love with one type of exercise. They like to lift weights and they don't do as much aerobic conditioning. They like to do running outside, but they don't like to strength train as much. And so as a good baseline, it is a good idea to try to meet these simple exercise recommendations every single week. And it doesn't have to be intensive. It just has to be moderate intensity. So it's not like you have to go run all out and run yourself into the ground every single day. It can be as simple as going for a walk and getting that moderate physical activity over longer periods of time. And when you add it up, it's sometimes an overwhelming number or an overwhelming amount to think, how am I going to get between 3 and 5 hours of aerobic activity in a week and then have time to go to the gym? But these sessions do not have to be long. So it's easy to get that 3 to 5 hours if you just go for a 30-minute walk every day, and you can hit that. And then your weightlifting sessions do not have to be 90-minute burnout sets where you can't walk up and down the stairs the next day. You just have to go through a structured strength conditioning program. So it can be 20 minutes, it could be 30 minutes, but it's going into a gym and doing something that is harder than what you typically do in your daily life at least 2 days a week. And so if you're somebody that does not strength train a lot right now, just doing something above what is normal for you is going to have the intended effect. So if you're somebody that's in pain or dealing with some chronic health conditions, this can be something that is a very easy, low-hanging fruit to try to look at and see how can you improve and how can you add some more of this activity into your daily routines. Now for our youth athletes, this isn't typically as big of a concern. Oftentimes they're in practice 2 hours a day, they're playing games for a couple hours on the weekend, and then typically they have some type of strength training that's going on as part of their team setting. The one thing with that is sometimes in season, that strength training piece is what gets dropped out when schedules get very busy. And it's very important to try to maintain that strength training at least 1 to 2 days a week, even while you're playing a competitive season, because it reduces your risk of going through either acute or overuse injuries. So not quite as big of a issue with the youth athletes, but with our kind of recreational athletes or adults, this is something that's a very low-hanging fruit to try to meet these basic recommendations and improve your overall health and well-being.